Okay, so my name is Julie Atkinson Tate. I'm course leader for the A-level PE, and my colleague Jane Singh is also here today on the meeting, and we'll work together. She's doing the Q&A section for us after I've given you a little bit of information about the course.
There's still people coming in, which is really lovely to see. Thank you very much for joining us. Just as Julie is talking through the course, if you think of a question that you would like to ask, if you move your mouse or keypad, whatever is you're using, there is a function for Q&A right at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so you can type those in. I will receive the questions and we will answer as many as we can, hopefully all of them. There may be some that are very similar to questions, and that's absolutely fine. There may be some that are specific to you, and you want to ask us something about your situation, that's absolutely fine as well. So it doesn't matter whether it's about the course or whether it's about a particular sport. You're very welcome to ask a wide range of questions.
Okay, if you've just come in again, I'm Julie Atkinson Tate, and this is Jane Singh as well. We both teach on the A-level PE. I usually have a bit of a backdrop with our fabulous results figures on, and also a little bit of information about dance as well that you can do in PE. But unfortunately, I took my boards with all of that information because we did think by now we would be back at college. So if you want any information about results or anything like that, then you can just email us as well. So a little bit about the course to start with. A-level PE is 70% theory. We do 2 exams and 30% is practical and coursework. So you get a nice combination of both. I'll start with the practical and coursework because usually that's where we get most of our questions. So for the practical, we do expect you to be performing in a club or at a dance school and performing regularly. So you would be dancing either in shows or competitions, and you would be performing in full competitive games in your sport. We do AQA exam board, and if you look on our PE site, you can get a link into the practicals that are available. Again, usually that is a question that we get asked. So there is a list of practicals that are accepted by the exam board. So you perform out of college because we have such a wide range within our groups. You perform and you video and you produce live video evidence, and that is assessed, and that goes with some coursework where you analyse your performance. We put those 2 aspects together, so there's some written work and some practical work. The quality of your practical work, people always ask me, you know, do you have to be at a certain level? You have to be regularly competing in good competitive situations. All right. Obviously, if you are a higher level performer, you know that can relate to higher marks, but that does depend on your video evidence. So that's really important. And I'm speaking really positively because I'm hoping that we go back to our practical, which I know everybody is so missing at the moment, as soon as possible. The theory side of our course, 70%, we do 2 exams. Those 2 exams are in the summer, 2 separate papers. So we teach paper 1 in year 1, and that consists of anatomy and skill acquisition and sport and society. So if you have done a GCSE in PE, you will recognise those terms, and if you've maybe done a BTEC or an OCR, you will recognise some of those titles. You don't have to have done GCSE PE to come onto our course, as long as you are somebody who is a practical performer. We understand that, you know, in some of your choices, you haven't had that choice for your GCSE. So we look at your sciences as well. We look at good results in your science so that you can come onto our course. In year 2, we teach towards paper 2, and we look at sports psychology, we look at physiology and biomechanics, and we expand on the sport and society, and we add in new technology in sport. So we look and research technology and how that's impacted on sport. 2 written papers. So you do have to be good at exams. So 2 written papers, a range of questions from multiple choice to essay questions. And it is very multi-skilled because we cover anatomy, science, and then sport and society. And so lots of diversity in terms of what we offer. Very interesting on the PE course. Jane, do you want to add anything, or is the questions already coming in that you think I need to answer before I carry on talking?
Well, we haven't had any questions yet. So just a reminder that the question and answer function is at the bottom of your screen. And actually I can see that one's come in already. So that was a good reminder, wasn't it? So if you'd like to ask any questions whatsoever, you can pop it down on the screen. And the first one that's come in is about particular sport. We certainly expected questions about particular sports. And the question is, can I do judo for my practical assessment?
At the moment, there are no martial arts at the moment on the A level. And that's something, again, that they were looking at because they've just introduced some new practicals, and they were actually revisiting that. So if you, whoever popped that question in, if you would like to email myself, so j.atkinson@qelive.ac.uk, and you can find, you can just email college and ask me. I will look into those new areas because they were, martial arts was not on, but they were having a second look at whether or not they were going to add any martial arts in there, so I can follow that up for you. So at the moment, no, but that doesn't mean that that they might not change. But I can obviously follow that up for you as a specific question.
Okie dokie. We've got a few questions, particularly about sports. Again, I'll do those first. Somebody's saying, I play table tennis at a good level. Does that count? Absolutely. Table tennis definitely counts. It's definitely there, and you can be assessed. If you define what a good level is, it doesn't actually, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, it does matter. What we assess you on for table tennis is the level of skills that you perform. So we've got a wide range of skills that we assess you on, and we would expect that the higher level that you play at, those skills would shine through at a higher level. So we don't want you playing a good standard of table tennis, then for your A-level PE assessment, you think, oh, well, I'll just go and play against these other people in my class. No disrespect to anyone who's in A-level PE and thinks they're quite good at table tennis. If you're not playing it regularly, you probably aren't as good as somebody who wants to be assessed in it, and you beat them. Well, that's probably not going to give you the highest mark, as in if you played against somebody who was very good and you lost. So we're looking at skill level rather than results of games. And I hope that makes sense to you. We're looking at the tactics and the strategies that you use when you are performing your sports.
And we look at, can you employ those skills? Can you apply them in pressurized situations? So we might get somebody who, you know, is playing at a really good level, but their opponent is really pushing them, but they're responding with some really good skill work. And that's what we would be looking at as well.
We've also got one specifically about gymnastics. I do gymnastics and only compete 3 times a year. Is that good enough? Or would I have to choose another sport? So the answer for gymnastics is you only choose one sport. And if it needs to be a competitive situation, so competing 3 times a year is actually enough. The more evidence you get, we are looking for consistency in your performance. But Julie, remind me, is it 2 events for gymnastics?
2 disciplines, yeah. So in your competition, I've got somebody who at the moment is doing floor and doing beam. So you have to choose. So again, if you look on the specification, or if you want the specification sent to you, then just email us and you choose 2 disciplines, and then you would video yourself in fully competitive situation. And what I would suggest is that you have maybe an interim club competition that you could maybe enter in between those competitions that you do 3 times a year as well, just to maybe add to the number of pieces of evidence that you've got.
Okay. Quite a few questions coming in, so I'll go through them. I'm trying not to do them fast and not give you a reasonable answer, but if you would like any more of an answer, you're very, very welcome to email us for a more in-depth answer. So the first one is, what sports wouldn't count? Well, that's an open-ended question, because the specification with the list of relevant sports is huge. There's probably about 100 sports that are allowed. So we would rather say you say to us, can I do this sport? And we will say yes or no. Okay. And so if there's any particular ones, we've got, that leads into, if my sport, which is taekwondo, is not counted on the current list, am I able to join a sports club within the college and use this for my practical assessment? Really good question.
Obviously, if you have a second sport, for example, we often have people who have played 2 or 3 sports at school, because you only have to choose one at A level, you might still be good at the other. But the only thing I would say is that you don't know the level of the team sport at college. So some years we have very high level teams, some years it depends, because obviously we get a mixture of students in. So if you were going to do a second sport, again, we might chat to you about being, part of a club. It would depend which sport it was, and it would depend if that sport was running at a high level in college. So I'll just say, on a Wednesday afternoon, I'll add this in now, our sports that we do are football, that we have competitions in, male and female. Rugby, we have our rugby academy, male and female. We have netball, we have basketball, we have hockey. We do more recreational badminton, and we do have a link with the table tennis club, who use our facilities and come in and do some table tennis as well. A little bit more recreational, but both of those can be used if we've got opponents for you to play. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea as well in terms of the sports that we do at college. You don't have to do A-level PE to do those sports, but obviously if you do, and they are one of your sports, we'd expect you to play for a college team.
Okay. Does dance count if I'm not doing it competitively? For dance, you need to do 2 dance routines of 2 minutes long in front of an audience, minimum of 10 people. I might be making that up. 10 people for your audience. So that could be friends at college. So you've got to do 2 dance routines of 2 minutes long in front of a minimum audience of 10. Hope I'm not going too fast here. I'm doing GCSE PE, but haven't been able to show the practical work. How will this affect doing A-level due to COVID? And I play football. Really good question. Everybody in the country is in exactly the same situation, all PE students. And I hope that by the time you enroll in September, the restrictions would have been lifted. And obviously with a 2-year course within the next 2 years, things will have returned to not the new normal, but the old normal. But in answer to your question, the exam board have adapted what we need to show as evidence for practical situations. And if it were to continue for your years as well, we would fully expect them to do the same. Next question.
In terms of practical, the other thing I would say is keep your fitness levels up, because that's really important. To keep your fitness levels, to keep some skills that you can do, as soon as restrictions are off, even when we've got to start with, probably again, restricted kind of skills and drills, get back there as soon as you can, and keep your fitness up in between. Also, hopefully that helps to keep you nice and motivated as well, towards doing the A-level PE.
Okie dokie. We've got 5 minutes left and still quite a few questions coming through, which is brilliant. If we don't manage to answer your question, please do email us. We'll try and get through as many as we can. Every question is as equally as important as the next. So a nice question in here: how many did A-level PE in 2020, and what were the final grades like? Well, in 2020 it was obviously a slightly different year with teacher assessed grades, and the 2020 grades, I can't remember how many we had second years. I think it was 36. Julia will correct me if I'm miles out. And we were 100% pass rate, but we've been 100% pass rate for years. And we were 65% higher pass rate. That is A stars, A and B. And again, that's a continual pattern over the last 3 years. So like every other subject in the college, we didn't inflate our grades last year when it was teacher assessed grades. They were very much in line with what we had achieved as a PE department for the previous 3 years. So around 70% A star, A and Bs, and 100% pass rate. So I hope that answers your question. And by the way, we're very, very proud of that.
Going back 3 years is the new specification. So
yes.
that's since the specification changed.
I should have said that. That's the implication for 3 years. It was when we started delivering that new specification. So all of our students worked incredibly hard to achieve those grades, and it was a pleasure to teach all of them, which leads into quite a personal question, Julia. We've got, what would you say is the most enjoyable part of the course? And I've had to think really hard about this, because I actually genuinely enjoy it all, and I'm not just saying that to attract you to the course at QE. I honestly aren't. So I teach anatomy and physiology and sports psychology and the coursework, and it's always related to a current situation in sport. So today with the second years, I've been doing some sports psychology, and it was related to a specific sporting scenario, and they all found it really quite interesting. And because we're applying it to real life, some of the theories we do are quite complicated, but it gives you that deeper understanding of physical education in a real life context, really. So I genuinely enjoy all aspects of the course.
I think that a lot of students come as well, and then, you know, even though the anatomy side is quite hard, they enjoy that, because knowing about your anatomy and your biomechanics and your physiology helps you in your own performance. So I always think that's really interesting when students really take on board things to do with types of training and muscle fibre types, and they really enjoy learning about those, and they actually apply them in terms of the course. The other thing for me as well, it's always really enjoyable when you've got people analysing their performance in such a wide range of sports. So we have people, this year we've got equestrian, we've got gymnasts, we've got footballers, we've got table tennis, we've got gymnasts, we've got dancers. So it's so varied, and that again, that is really nice. And when we apply questions and answers, we try to cover a range of sports. So again, I think it increases you know, your own knowledge as well, which is really good. We've probably got time for one more question.
And it actually leads into the next Zoom webinar as well. So the question is, what's the main difference between A-level PE and sport and leisure? So just to let you know, we will answer this question now, but the sport and leisure webinar is on next. Yeah. Okay, so go and have a little look at that one, especially if you've asked that question. So Julia, I'll hand over to you to answer the final.
The main difference is the way that you learn. In sport and leisure, it's coursework and coaching. All right, so they do an advanced diploma, and it's coursework, coaching, and there's an exam now, I think in year 1 and year 2, so a mixture, but they have a higher level of coursework than we do. So we have our 30%, that's it, our 2 exams. So I would say our course is more exam focused. We would do more anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, and that would be our main difference. And again, if you want any more information from the specification, then please email us. So we're just about to finish. Thank you very much for everybody. Any more information, please email us at college. You can watch this again if you've missed anything. Just thank you very much from myself and from Jane for all the questions, all the interest. And we hope to run something bridging. Keep your eye on the website, see what it will be, and hopefully we will see people in a more normal setting at some point nearer the summer. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Jane, for doing the question and answer, and we hope to see you soon.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.